Here's what's coming in October 2021. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with an interdimensional, interuniversal, and extraterrestrial force known as Telstar, along with Archangel Michael. Now, October 2021 is going to bring us a very different, more expanded kind of an awakening. We are going to wake up in a way that we never dreamed possible to the massive change that has occurred on this planet over the past 2 years. We are going to begin to understand that we are literally in a planetary war for our species and our souls. This is a war between AI and humanity. This is the final world war. We are used to wars happening between groups of humans, and on some level, we're still in a little bit of a fog about this. So in October, I think we're going to start realizing that we are not in a war of humans against humans. We are in a war that is the alien AI against all of humanity. And we see evidence of this everywhere. We see it in the coldness and the cruelty of the controllers who still appear to have human faces, but in truth are not human at all. See, there is nothing in nature where an entire species rises up against itself with the intention of destroying itself. That just doesn't happen. You will find predators and victims, but you will not find a singular species intending to eat itself alive and destroy itself completely. This is why we have to realize that we are not battling something that is human. Now, AI is an alien technology that has blanketed this entire planet in the form of the internet. We were drawn in through social media and email as new forms of so-called human communication, and we were also drawn in through smartphones and through texting as other means of communication. Now, of course, it is far too late to change any of that, so we have to do something else. And that's what I'm going to be talking about a little bit later in this video. So right now, our entire lives have been absorbed into the internet. And this is precisely why they are bringing the hammer down on us right now. See, we naturally wanted to use the internet to empower ourselves with expanded opportunities for creativity and communication. And that's where we were at the end of 2019. That's when 2020 looked like it was going to be an incredible year for our human evolution and expansion. I mean, you could just feel the incredible potential that was in front of us at that time. And that is precisely when the controllers made their big move against us. See, they knew that for them, it was now or never. We had our Ascension timeline well underway at the end of 2019. So the controllers jolted us out of that timeline and onto their timeline with the cards they played against us at the beginning of 2020. I don't know about you, but I could literally feel the shift into a different timeline on January 1st of last year. This is when the real battle for timelines really began. So up until now, we've been in sort of a fog. Our brains have been trying to process enormous amounts of new information, along with a tremendous level of upheaval that was just unimaginable 2 years ago. It's like we were hit with a tidal wave of so much evil that we could hardly process the true nature of our reality. But all of that is going to change in October. October 2021 is when we are going to be able to collectively open our eyes to all of this with an enormous new level of clarity. October is when we're going to wake up to the actual war that we are in. We are going to become crystal clear about the battle for timelines before us. We're going to be able to see it and experience it at a visceral level. And this is what's going to enable us to collectively step into a much higher level of power. Now, it's important to understand that this is not just an Earth-based war. This goes well beyond planet Earth. Earth is looked at as just the host planet for this alien AI force. It's the human souls that this force is really interested in taking over completely. But as we begin to realize this, we have a great chance to stop it. But in order to do that, we're going to need to evolve and evolve quickly, which I think we're going to do because I think we're going to find ourselves to be highly motivated. I think we're also going to start to see another interesting thing in October and even beyond October. Another interesting thing is going to begin to evolve. And that is, the controllers have tried to divide us up into separate political factions and fight against each other. I think we may start to see some breakdowns in those political factions. I'll give you an example. I recently heard about some people in Black Lives Matter who are waking up to this bigger picture. They actually said that we need to put our political differences aside and come together as one to fight against this. Isn't that awesome? So to me, this is a sign that we are starting to wake up as a species, which is absolutely what we need to do now. The controllers are doing everything in their power to pit us against one another. This is part of their plan, to get us to destroy ourselves with division. Now, there is a deeper reason that they want to divide us. Now, some of the human controllers might be aware of this and others are not, but let me share with you what that deeper reason is. It's because they absolutely do not want us to recognize ourselves as a human species. They don't want us seeing ourselves as a species. See, if that happens, they are in big trouble. Because once we recognize that this threat is against us as a species, as a human species, that is when we become unified in the natural oneness of our species, and that oneness begins to take a powerful hold. They can't stand up against that, you guys. They can't. That is when we will be able to take a truly formidable stand against them, backed by the entire natural universe. See, there is an interconnectedness of consciousness within any given species. When the entire collective consciousness of a species wakes up and realizes that the threat is far greater than that made to a single individual in its ranks, that is when the entire game changes. So let's shine a big, bright light on reality here. These controllers are not human. Some of them are hollow shells who look human, but are actually functioning as minions for this larger AI god. And the rest are various alien species who have already been taken over by AI. Some of them are reptilians, some of them are the Greys, some are insectoids, but in the end, none of that's going to matter. What matters is who we are. Now, the people who appear to be at the top and who look human on this planet and who are running this show have already had their souls gutted. This is why they behave as though they have no soul, because they don't. So we look at them in total disbelief. Like, where's your compassion? Where's your love? How can you do this to people? Well, they can do these evil things easily because they are no longer human. They have been reduced to mere creatures who have little or no emotion. And the weird thing is we see these creatures popping up everywhere, more and more around the world. So focusing on them will do us no good at all. It's like trying to reason with a machine. I mean, you can't reason with a machine. So we need to focus on ourselves and on who we are. So in October, we need to recognize ourselves collectively as a human species. A species who is facing an alien AI opponent trying to take over our souls and absorb us completely. Now think about that for a moment. This is vastly different from a belief that we are nothing more than a planet full of fractured groups of people fighting against governments and bureaucrats. Yes, it does look like that on the surface, but remember, that's only the surface picture. See, one thing you want to keep in mind is this. The controllers could never do this without their current level of AI technology. And that should be a huge clue for us right there. It should be a clue that they're actually nothing more than AI minions. Now, you know, there's a scene in the Matrix movie, which I haven't seen in a very long time, so I'm pretty sure I'm remembering this fairly accurately. Anyway, there's a scene where Neo is batting away bullets or stopping bullets effortlessly, bullets that are being shot at him, like they're nothing. Now, he can only do this because he sees what is really going on. So we need to be exactly like this ourselves. We need to truly see what the controllers are doing so we can be that empowered with every new ploy that they use against us. See, I was thinking about that scene in the Matrix because that really demonstrates a metaphysical perspective beyond what appears to be just physical. And that's why I say we also want to take that kind of a more expanded position with these controllers because they're operating at metaphysical levels all the time. So we, as human beings, we also need to do the same thing at the very least. So let me see if I can give you a simple illustration of what we're actually dealing with. AI has actually been advancing on this planet for thousands of years. It started off very, very slowly, very insidiously. And then in the last century or two, it began a massive acceleration. It went to a whole new level with the Industrial Revolution in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. And now its growth is exponential. Its intent has always been to remake us into something in its own image. And that's what's happening today. See, the internet, or what has been called the World Wide Web, is exactly like a spider's web. The insect does not see the web at first. Then it finds itself trapped, and the more it struggles, the more ensnared it becomes. This is kind of what we see happening in Australia right now. The more people struggle to get free, the more the web cracks down on them. That's what all of the tracking and surveillance are about. But don't worry, there is an answer. So now we're trapped in the World Wide Web of the internet. The spider, or the controllers and AI, are closing in on our species. So here's what we need to do. We need to stop viewing ourselves as different races, different factions, different classes, and various political divisions. And by the way, this is so interesting. Have you noticed when you look at the situation today, have you noticed the controllers do not view us that way? I mean, they are equally mean to all of us. So that should be a clue for us as well. See, ultimately, AI does not care about our skin color and it doesn't care about our political differences. All of the focus on those things is specifically designed and has been designed to manipulate us and pit us against one another. AI only cares about our human souls and our consciousness. So October is the month that we are finally ready to enter the real playing field and finally use the advantage of the oneness of our human species against these predators. Now, I want to mention something else. I'm a little suspicious about this global warming narrative, and let me tell you why. See, the controllers know that our entire human species is being threatened. Of course, it's being threatened by them. And they also know that they are in danger of us waking up to this at some point. And that could be rather imminent. So they want to proactively take that powerful human emotion of an entire human species feeling threatened, which always leads to oneness, and turn it towards the climate instead of towards the real threat, which is them and AI. Now, I'm not saying that the climate isn't changing. That is not my point. Some of that change is natural and it's related to the sun. And any artificial changes in Earth's climate are due to the mess that AI is making out of Earth's natural biosphere and its atmosphere, along with ruining the integrity of the planet's natural magnetic field. That's all AI stuff, you guys. But the controllers want us focused on climate as our chief enemy in order to justify their ultimate takedown of our species. They have this thing all planned out. They always have a way to point the finger and say, look over here, people, this is your enemy. It's not us, it's this. And this is going to be the next thing. So now I want to talk to you about what all of this means to each one of us individually. The goal is preservation of our species and of our human ability to evolve. That's the highest goal. This means that the best thing we can do is to put all of our energy into our own active evolution. And I want to emphasize the word active. Now, we cannot control what every single person in this collective does, but we can each control what we do as individuals. And that's what you want to focus on. You don't want to ever give up on yourself. You want to stay laser focused on your own evolution. And this is so important because, as I was saying earlier, this is a battle over timelines. So we want to be able to hold the energy for that higher timeline by evolving ourselves more and more and more. Now, I feel that the universe is very close to us right now as a conscious being because the universe is alive. The universe itself is evolving, and we are naturally a part of that evolution. So the universe can support us individually whenever we are actively working on our own evolution. It can support us individually with high vibrational energy, with synchronicities, with revelations, and with miracles. But it really depends on what we choose. It depends so much on our level of integrity with ourselves and with nature. Now, I've talked a lot about us coming into the revelation of ourselves as a species and the power of the oneness in that revelation. The more that we come into a higher level of integrity with ourselves and with nature, the more we align with that oneness and the power of that oneness of our actual natural human species. Because see, our natural human species is at one with this much more powerful universe that is evolving and is evolving us. So we want to come into alignment with that larger evolutionary process so that when we as a humanity, as a collective, wake up to ourselves as a species, everything that we are doing as individuals in this regard is going to support that, can help to keep that experience knit together for so many other people. Now, I always like to start with talking about meditation. That's because meditation is how you get to know yourself again. Meditation can take so many different forms, but let's just look at it in its simplest form, where you just take time to just be with yourself, to be with you, to be with that inner being, that infinite self, because you are an infinite being. And meditation gives you a chance to reconnect with your infinite self, to feel and experience your infinite self, and so much more, because there is an entire universe within you as well. So when you connect with that universe within you, you are simultaneously connecting to the larger universe out here because it's all one. But it's so important to actually take the time physically to do this. And I always recommend that this is something we do every single day, even if it's for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you can manage. I think first thing in the morning is the best time of all because that's when we are the most clear-minded and we don't have all of these other things that we're thinking about that we have to be doing. Now, you're going to find that to whatever extent you get connected to your heart and your inner being, you're going to find an experience of peace. And that peace will calm you, it will relax you, and it will serve as a lifeline to your highest self. Now, you can also ask your angels for assistance, and you can ask the universe itself to guide you. See, we are being inundated with so much fear all day long, all the time. But what is important to recognize is that behind that fear is who you really are. Behind that fear is love. So you want to allow yourself to become a part of that love again. You want to feel connected to that love that is behind the fear. And in a strange sort of way, we can actually take advantage of all the chaos that these controllers are causing. This is actually a time that we can find it much easier to deprogram ourselves, to remove patterns from ourselves, old beliefs, all that stuff that weighs down our energy. Because see, there's nothing out here anymore that's holding all of those things together. And the controllers are hoping that we are so distracted with what's going on out here that we forget to notice all the junk that they have saddled us with, that we can now get rid of, release, let go of, say no more. We are done with your programming. This is a prime time to release it. And that is what they're hoping you don't recognize. Now, the other thing that I want to remind you of is that it's so important to take very good care of your physical body and to do whatever you need to do to heal yourself. So all of these things that I just mentioned are actions that we can take that make it possible for us to restore our sovereignty in this universe. See, we don't need the controllers to recognize our sovereignty. They already know about that stuff. They're working against it. What's so important is that we recognize our sovereignty and we take a stand for it and we reclaim it and restore it at a universal level. So don't let a single day go by when you are not attending to your own evolution and to whatever is in your highest good. Make every single day count and don't take anything for granted. Here's a really great way that you can look at every new day first thing in the morning. Think of each new day as a gift box that you get to fill with whatever you want. You can fill it with toxic things or poison, or you can fill it with blessings. So I recommend, of course, that you fill it with as many blessings as you can. So start every day with gratitude and then bless each and every part of your day. And whenever you see negative beliefs pop up in your mind, you can make a conscious decision that you are finished with that belief. You can recognize that that belief no longer applies because the world has changed. And now it's time for us to change by evolving beyond this place. So you want to look at this entire situation as your opportunity to evolve into higher and higher dimensions of reality. So more than anything else, you want to remember to love yourself and also love our human species. Take a powerful stand for your sovereign right to evolve. Be spiritually independent and never, ever, ever give up on yourself. You can do this, and we can all do this as one incredible species that when we open our eyes and we awaken to who we really are, we are indeed a formidable force of love, of light, and of the power of the omnipresent love of this entire universe. So from my heart to yours, I am sending you all the love in the universe because it's that love that unites us all. It's that love that creates an unbroken union of presence of our human collective presence that is more powerful than anything these primitive, ridiculous controllers can lay on us. So I hope this video has inspired you. I hope it's giving you a lot of food for thought. And if so, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else who you think would find this helpful. And be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because I am here every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and high vibrational energy. And I so look forward to seeing you in the next video. Namaste.